It's a great position to be in between the conference and your dinner, so I'm going to try and manage it. What we want to do this afternoon is to figure a little bit the how to do. We heard a lot about this morning we heard of many wonderful ideas. This panel is a little bit more about implementation. And I'm the chair of the Department of Political Science. This is a first, and I thank Danny here for bringing me over. It's a first because we finally, you think the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is complicated? Wait till we talk to you about what we call the East-West conflict on campus. So this is a peace negotiation process here. Okay. And we are at the heart of it. So I'm coming from the west side of campus. Okay. The way we will run it is each presenter will talk for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'll try to keep it reasonable. Then I will address a difficult question to each panelist, and then we'll open it up to the rest of the crowd. So let's get started.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully I will not add to your sleepiness. You've all had lunch. I hope you've all caffeinated after lunch. I'll be discussing some work that Grameen has been involved in Uganda, and it's called the Community Knowledge Worker Program. Just to give you a quick rundown, Grameen Foundation is very different from Grameen Bank, and people often get them very confused. So as a foundation, we specialize in technical support around the development environment, specifically microfinance, agriculture, and health. So what we've shifted in terms of our strategy, is that a bit better? Okay, sorry. What we've shifted in terms of our strategy is looking to work around the intersections between mobile financial services and also mobile agriculture and mobile health. So very seldom now you'll find that our engagements have only one of these components. Generally, we're looking at always working with two and having financial services being the center. Most of you here and throughout the day have also gotten to understand the environment and challenges that smallholder farmers sort of are engaged in everyday life. Knowledge of basic agricultural information, market prices, linkages to those markets, all of these are challenges. And then you'll see right there at the bottom, I noted government support is insufficient. Now, I'm very much speaking to the Ugandan case. Government support there is extremely lacking. Agricultural extension, delivery of agricultural inputs by government, completely non-functional system. So at Grameen, we've tried to intercede, and we've done so in two ways, through mobile agriculture and through developing human networks. So the little diagram you have there, I'll try and describe in detail. The centerpiece of the diagram highlights the knowledge worker, the CKW, as they're called. What happens is Grameen engages communities, local communities in Uganda, generally at local council level or community elders, and we have these communities self-elect the agents that they feel most suitable to actually deliver information to them. Out of the people who have been nominated, Grameen will vet, test and qualify these. We'll appoint the one that has the best aptitude of working with a smartphone, that has a high level of English. The reason that English is important is the agronomic content that we supply is all in English, and translation happens at a local level in the local dialect. Uganda has over 40 local dialects, so trying to translate agronomic information into all of these would prove quite difficult and quite costly. One of the main aims of our program is to be able to reach the last mile farmer in a cost-effective manner. So the mobile phone becomes the tool, and our mobile agent is the delivery channel. So you'll see we've been building an agronomic content data bank over the last 4 years in Uganda. We supply the information to our farmers through a variety of apps. The first one is a CKW search app, and that app is a decision tree structured support tool. Essentially what this has is information on about 40 different crop enterprises and about 10 livestock enterprises. And then we incentivize our knowledge workers to actually move around in the field and engage with smallholder farmers, delivering agronomic extension. At the moment, it's completely lacking by government, so this is one of the very few sources of agronomic extension in Uganda. The other tools which are on the platform is Pulse, which is a two-way communication tool. It allows us to communicate with our field force. And then CKW Survey, which we use as a data collection tool. It also provides a feedback loop for us on the work that's actually done by the knowledge workers in the field. So we supply our knowledge workers with a phone. We supply them with a solar solution because access to power is probably a bigger problem than access to mobile services. We also provide them with training and training materials, and we have a call center set up to backstop any queries from farmers or from the knowledge workers. And everyone is always talking about whether private sector is valuable in this engagement. It's private sector that funds our call center and makes sure that all our farmers have access to information at any time. So I think this is the first time I'm going to mention that private sector is critical, and I think I will keep mentioning it throughout. So I've put up a map there of where our knowledge workers are located. You can see we have 1,200 of them in Uganda. They cover about 43 districts and service about 21,000 villages. I've also put some statistics there of the National Advisory Service. They have about 2,500 agents, but have to serve at least 10 or 20 times that. So the ratio between agent and farmer for us is about 1 to 100, 1 to 150. In terms of the National Advisory Service, it goes 1 to a couple of thousand. So in 2012, IFPRI did a study regarding all the work and our interventions, and a lot of positive things came out of this. There was an improvement in ag knowledge, there was an improvement in adoption of GAP, which is good agronomic practice, and there was an increase in price realization for the farmers, mostly because the information we were giving them around pricing gave them a better position for bargaining. Unfortunately, what was inconclusive was the actual improvement in productivity. This is something that we could not directly tie to the work that we did with farmers. But at the same time, it started giving us an idea that information alone was not enough. Now, Grameen Foundation is an NGO. We're not private sector, but we realized that there's a very important role for private sector to play alongside the work that we do.
Sorry, what is the price achieved?
Sorry? An increase in price achieved. So if maybe they were selling maize at whatever it is, 500 shillings a kilogram, there's a 22% increase on the actual price that they achieved when they sold at market.
Is it compared to the year before, or is it compared
Yeah.
to the local price?
It was compared to the year before, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. So just to take you back a few years, when Grameen originally started, it was information and extension services, and it was very much push technology. We were just sending text messages to farmers. We very quickly found out that absolutely zero behavior change took place. And that is where we actually decided to engage in communities more directly through the knowledge worker, which essentially ends up becoming a trusted change agent in his community. The community elect him, so initially there is social capital, and they already trust this person to deliver sort of relevant and suitable information. The problem, though, was we started with a farmer pool methodology, which meant that our CKW would go around and farmers would tell the CKW what they were interested in knowing. The problem there was farmers would often focus on what to them was urgent as opposed to what was important. You'd have farmers asking about 5 sick chickens and ignoring 5 acres of maize. So we shifted the solution to actually package our information and push out information relevant to the life cycle of the various value chains. And we noticed an increase in actual adoption. But again, like I mentioned, a lack of productivity increases. So what you'll see is where we are now, where we're looking at extended services. And in looking at extended services, we very much focus around agribusinesses and other support structures inside the value chain. So agricultural inputs, output markets, and financial services all form critical parts of this ecosystem. And without all of those, it's very difficult to realize productivity increases and increases in actual prices earned by farmers for their produce. So various opportunities arose from all these learnings. It took us a long time to learn a lot of these things. But there was strong opportunities for us to support public sector, using our technologies and methodologies to overlay them on the national advisory services in Uganda. Then using our actual knowledge workers as a delivery channel, or a mechanism to actually link markets to smallholder farmers who are traditionally very hard to reach and very untrusting of formal institutions. And then there are a couple of other opportunities around integrating with various value chains and offering value-added services and leveraging the actual core competencies of the CKWs. So in one engagement, we shifted away from agriculture and we did nutritional information that we were disseminating to families, and then had our CKWs actually follow up and monitor families. So generally, if you're an outsider coming into a community, information doesn't flow very easily to you because you're an outsider. In this situation and with our model, the agent is someone who is your neighbor, who is your cousin, who is within your community, and there's an inherent level of trust, so information flows a lot more freely. So just to quickly touch on the public sector work that we did, we took 15 agents from the National Advisory Service, and we overlaid our technology and our methodologies onto them for about 6 months. Very quickly, we started realizing that transparency was a big problem within the advisory service because people were shocked at the actual routes taken by their agents, how their agents were engaging with farmers, what information the farmers were requesting. There was complete invisibility inside the National Advisory Service. So it became very apparent that there was a value to actually adding this technology and overlaying it with their networks. But Uganda's National Advisory Service is in a very perilous state right now, and 2 weeks ago an announcement was made by the president that it was going to be disbanded. Then a week after that, the announcement was made it was going to get restructured. And then a week after that, it was said that the military was going to now take over the National Advisory Service and manage all the agents. So unfortunately, that is an engagement that is uncertain at the moment, but very, very clear value of engaging with the advisory service and being able to roll out that at scale. Just to give you an idea of the cost per agent and the reach per agent, the National Advisory Service agents come at around $27,000 a year, whereas our knowledge workers, who only work for us part-time, it comes to about $2,800 per year. And they engage roughly 3 times as many farmers in the same period of time. So I'll just touch on 2 quick case studies. One is in pilot mode at the moment. There are 5,000 farmers that are affiliated to the Uganda Coffee Alliance. And through an engagement with Opportunity Bank, our knowledge workers are actually offering services to these farmers who are completely unreachable by the bank. So our knowledge workers are working with various farmer groups, each of them with about 20 to 30 farmers in their group. And ABI Trust, which is an organization in Uganda, is offering a credit line of about $350,000, which is then facilitated and monitored by our agents. This is an engagement that Opportunity wanted to get into, but the costs of actually reaching 5,000 farmers was completely prohibitive to them. A large portion of that credit line would have had to have been consumed in order to actually reach them successfully. Now, I think the cost of reaching a farmer is about $5 to $7 to reach a farmer, and be able to monitor that farmer over the lifetime of the actual loan, which is 6 months. If it's coffee, it's a 6-month agricultural loan. So the benefit that the bank also has is that our knowledge workers, at a regular interval, will monitor the loan, but also engage with the farmer and provide improved post-harvest handling, improved planting, improved soil preparation, essentially de-risking the farmer to a certain extent for the bank. So the next 2 I'll touch on are 2 organizations, or 2 private sector organizations in Uganda. One is called the Joseph Initiative and one is called Yield Uganda. And just in a couple of informal discussions with them, a very key point came out that they felt that private sector's role, most importantly, was to create demand in the market. Without any demand, farmers were, quite complacent and happy to just be self-sustainable, but not wanting to get themselves into a sort of a higher yield or higher productivity on their farms. It just didn't seem like a necessity. Until demand was actually created inside the market, many farmers who used to be self-sustainable decided that they wanted to shift themselves into a position of actually being more commercial. The point that they made there around demand was that it has to be sustainable and it has to be responsible. One maybe note I can make is around the breweries in Uganda. Breweries would go around and disseminate or freely distribute seeds for white sorghum. Unfortunately, they would distribute about twice the amount of seeds that they would actually want to purchase, and then the market would be flooded with around 15 or 16,000 tons worth of white sorghum, which is not edible, which can't be used, and which goes off quite quickly. So farmers would then be stuck with this, and again, it breaks down this trust relationship with the private sector. So through our knowledge workers, we try and engage with farmers in a responsible way. Because they have the social capital, it's very important for us as an NGO to make sure that we don't take advantage of that, and only bring in certain partners that will deliver, direct value to the farmers. So I'll just quickly speak about what the Joseph Initiative does. How am I looking on time, by the way? Am I okay?
Pretty poorly.
Poorly, okay. I'll rush through it. So the Joseph Initiative has set up, in Uganda, local bulking centers in one specific area, Masindi. So what they've done is, instead of vertical integration, they've opted for community integration. They've set up their centers locally within a 2 to 3 kilometer radius from farmers. They've set up multiple centers, and they've engaged us to have our CKWs actually manage these centers for them. Because the CKWs are managing those centers, there's an inherent level of trust, like I've mentioned, so all the local farmers are now delivering to those centers as opposed to selling to the regular buyers which should come by on trucks. Joseph Initiative has lowered the barriers, and this is also something that, alongside us and alongside our engagement with farmers, developed a relationship and a model that is actually very suitable for them. So lower barriers to entry, improved post-harvest handling, and then incentivization in terms of quality of their crops. So they were being paid more if the crop was delivered in a better quality. At the same time, the knowledge workers would be able to do extension services with those farmers at the bulking centers, and then the same agents would also be able to do inputs bulking. So they'd be able to go to their 100 farmers, capture what inputs those farmers are wanting to purchase, and then leverage an economy of scale. One agent could maybe order for 100 farmers, and that economy of scale would allow them certain discounts on the inputs that they were actually purchasing. So I know I maybe took a few minutes too long, but essentially access to smallholder farmers, or for smallholder farmers being an emerging market, but accessing them and accessing that last mile comes at a very high cost. So one of the key learnings that we've had is that community-based networks are a direct channel, and that channel being encapsulated in trust allows private sector to more easily engage with them at a lower cost level and deliver sort of valuable benefit to our end beneficiaries. Okay, thanks.